Earth's sky looked calm that morning. But Lyra Vance felt anything except calm. She stood on the balcony of the United Earth Embassy Tower, staring at the silver diplomatic shuttle descending toward the landing pad. Its surface shimmered with blue lines of alien energy, glowing like quiet lightning trapped inside metal. She took a slow breath and told herself to stay steady. Today wasn't just another diplomatic assignment. Today, her mother was returning to Earth, and she wasn't returning alone. Lyra had known for weeks. The messages were short, but clear. Lyra, I married again after the Heliox conference. I can't wait for you to meet him. He has a son around your age. Be kind. Kind. Lyra wasn't cruel, she simply had no experience being a daughter to two parents. She had been raised by her mother alone for 20 years, while her father served on ships she barely remembered. Having a mother was normal. Having a stepfather felt strange. Having an alien stepfather? Even stranger? And having a stepbrother from a warrior engineer species known for their intense discipline and advanced technology? That felt like a whole different universe. The shuttle touched down with a soft humming sound. The air shimmered as the landing pad shields switched off. Lyra forced her shoulders straight, smoothing her dark uniform and hoping the nervous beat of her heart didn't show. The ramp extended. 2 Heliox guards emerged, tall, armored, silent. Their silver masks never moved, but Lyra could feel their eyes scanning everything. Heliox believed safety was sacred. Every Heliox child learned engineering, physics, and combat forms before the age of 10. Between the guards came a slender shape. Lyra's breath caught. Sarin. Her new stepbrother. He wasn't what she expected. Not even close. Where Heliox were usually tall and intimidating, Sarin was shorter, with softer features and a shy posture. His skin carried the Heliox' faint metallic undertone, but his eyes, large, silver, and reflective, gave him a quiet, almost delicate look. He held a small pack close to his chest like he feared someone might take it from him. He looked innocent, almost too innocent. Behind him walked Lyra's mother, Dr. Alara Vance, smiling with the bright confidence she always carried. Beside her was the Heliox diplomat Ambassador Tarek Solen, broad-shouldered, calm, and radiating pride. His presence alone seemed to bend the air around him like low gravity. Alara reached Lyra first. Sweetheart. They hugged tightly. Lyra closed her eyes for a moment, letting the tension fade. I missed you, she murmured. I missed you more. Alara brushed a hand against Lyra's cheek, then stepped aside. Tarek bowed in the Heliox, greeting one hand over his chest, head lowered. It is an honor to join your family, he said in calm, accented English. His voice felt like stone smoothed by water, deep but gentle. Lyra returned the bow politely. Welcome to Earth. Then, her gaze shifted to Sarin. He froze, as if unsure what gesture he should make. After a moment of hesitation, he copied his father clumsily. Hello, he said, voice soft. I am happy to be here. His English was careful, like he had memorized every word. Lyra smiled slightly. Sarin nodded once, quick and nervous, then looked away as if the weight of eye contact was too heavy for him. He definitely wasn't what she imagined a Heliox youth would be like. Inside the embassy tower, the halls echoed with soft lights and holographic displays. Earth's diplomatic floors were decorated with gentle, soothing colors. Humans valued comfort, where Heliox valued efficiency. Sarin walked beside his father, glancing around with wide eyes, studying every technology panel and every small object like it held secrets. He wasn't loud. He wasn't bold. He wasn't even confident. He seemed fragile. Lyra didn't understand how someone so timid came from a species famous for fearless precision. As they rode the lift to the living quarters, Alara talked excitedly about her trip, the wedding, and the peace talks she and Tarek co-led. Sarin stood silently, shifting his weight from one foot to the other. At one point, the lift made a soft chime, and he flinched sharply, his pupils tightening into thin silver rings. Lyra noticed. "Are you okay?" "Yes," he said quickly. The sound startled me. His voice trembled, not with fear, more like a reflex. Tarek placed a hand on his son's shoulder and whispered something in Heliox language. A flowing, melodic tongue mixed with sharp clicks. Sarin relaxed a little, but still kept his eyes downward. Lyra couldn't help studying him. There was something odd. Not wrong, just hidden. The quarters prepared for the family were spacious. A shared lounge, 2 connected kitchens, one adjusted for Heliox digestive needs, and several private rooms. "Your room is down this hall," Alara told Sarin, "next to Lyra's." Sarin nodded gratefully, then slipped inside his new room with surprising speed. The door closed immediately. Too immediately. Lyra raised an eyebrow. "Is he always that shy?" she asked quietly. Tarek exhaled slowly. "Sarin is different. Heliox youths usually follow strict social training. But Sarin's early years were difficult. He learned to be cautious." "What happened?" Tarek's eyes dimmed slightly. Heliox's eyes glowed brighter, with strong emotions and faded with sadness. He lost his mother during a cosmic radiation event. Since then, loud sounds, high frequencies, or unfamiliar environments overwhelm him. Lyra's heart softened. She understood loss. She felt it every time she remembered her father's distant assignments. "I'll be patient with him," she said. "I know you will." Tarek smiled warmly. Later that afternoon, Lyra passed Sarin's door on her way to the lounge. She heard faint sounds inside. A soft clicking noise, rhythmic and sharp, almost like coded tapping. She paused, listening. Was he talking to someone? Sending a signal? Practicing a Heliox device? She knocked gently. "Sarin, do you need help settling in?" Silence. Then a rustle. A few seconds later, the door opened barely an inch. One silver eye peeked out. "No, thank you," he whispered. "I am organizing." His voice sounded normal, but something about the earlier tapping felt too structured, like a message pattern. But he clearly didn't want to share. Lyra respected boundaries, so she stepped back. "All right, if you need anything, I'm next door." Sarin nodded and slowly closed the door again. That evening, during dinner, Sarin sat quietly between Lyra and his father. Heliox food steamed with faint blue vapor, while earth dishes filled the table with familiar scents. Sarin didn't touch much. He examined each item carefully before tasting, almost as if calculating its chemical structure. Every few minutes his pupils shifted colors, silver to pale blue to silver again. It was subtle, but impossible to miss once noticed. "Is that normal?" Lyra finally asked. "His eyes changing?" Tarek answered calmly. "Heliox pupils adapt to emotional and environmental cues. It is how we process sensory data." Alara added, "It's like human facial expressions, just more complex." Sarin lowered his gaze, embarrassed that attention had shifted to him. "I am sorry," he murmured. "No need to apologize," Alara said warmly. "Safe." Lyra repeated the word silently. Sarin didn't look dangerous. He didn't look strong. He didn't look like someone who survived a cosmic incident. But she kept sensing something hidden beneath his quiet nature. As if his innocence was a soft layer covering something sharper. Something he didn't want anyone to see. That night, after everyone went to their rooms, Lyra lay awake, replaying the day in her mind. She didn't dislike Sarin. She simply didn't understand him. Why did he lock his door with high-grade encryption? Why did he react so strongly to small sounds? What was that tapping she heard earlier? And why did she feel like Sarin was holding back something important? Across the hall, Sarin sat on his bed in the dark. He pressed a thin silver device to his wrist. Tiny lights flashed. Patterns shifted. The device scanned him silently, He swallowed hard. The readings weren't good. Earth's solar cycle was unstable. A tri-Helios radiation flare rare and dangerous to Heliox biology might reach the planet soon. Sarin closed his eyes. He wasn't ready. He didn't want to enter that state again. Not here. Not in front of his new family. He curled his knees to his chest and whispered to himself in Heliox. Stay calm. Stay normal. Do not change. But deep inside, he knew the truth. He looked innocent now. But when the heatwave came, everything would be different. Lyra woke to a strange stillness in the air, like the world was holding its breath. The sunlight through her window looked normal, but something felt different, as if the temperature had shifted without actually rising. She dressed quickly, slipping into her uniform and tying her hair back. Today, she needed to show Sarin around the embassy. Earth wanted Heliox guests to feel welcome. She tried to shake off the uneasy feeling in her chest and stepped out into the hallway. She paused. Sarin's door was open. Only halfway, but open. He had locked it the night before, so the sight made her curious. She approached carefully and knocked. Sarin, are you awake? There was no answer at first. Then she heard a faint sound. Slow breathing. Shaky. And uneven. Lyra pushed the door gently. She found Sarin sitting on the floor beside his bed, hugging his knees tightly, his silver eyes too bright, almost glowing. Sarin? She said softly. What's wrong? What's? He didn't look at her. His voice came out thin and trembling. The readings. They changed overnight. What readings? He lifted his wrist device with stiff fingers. The small screen flickered, displaying shifting waves of data. Even though Lyra couldn't read Heliox code, she recognized fear in Sarin's expression. There is solar instability, he whispered. A radiation spike. It aligns with the pattern of a tri-Helios heatwave. Lyra frowned. A heatwave? Like temperature? No, Sarin said, shaking his head rapidly. Not heat like humans understand. It is a cosmic radiation flare that reacts with Heliox biology. It affects our nervous systems, our senses, our behavior. He swallowed hard, eyes losing focus for a moment. I can't control it. Lyra's stomach tightened. Does your father know? Sarin hesitated. No. I hoped it would not reach Earth, but the flare is close. The lights in the hallway flickered suddenly. A soft hum pulsed through the building, like a giant heartbeat vibrating under the floors. Sarin's entire body tensed. It's starting, he whispered. Solar instability warning. Moments later, an alert echoed through the embassy speakers. Attention all personnel. Solar activity has reached level 3. Please remain indoors. Shield protocols activating. Lyra felt her pulse quicken. She pulled Sarin up carefully. Come on. We need to get to the shielded room. But the moment he stood, Sarin staggered. His pupils contracted sharply, turning into thin silver slits. He clutched his head, teeth clenched. Too loud, he gasped. Everything is too loud. There's no sound, Lyra said, confused. For humans, he said, shaking violently. For me. The radiation makes every frequency feel like thunder. Lyra guided him toward the hallway, trying to keep him steady. His breathing came in uneven bursts, and sweat formed on his forehead. Just focus on my voice, she said. I'll get you somewhere safe. As they moved, Sarin placed a hand against the wall, fingers trembling. The lights hummed again, barely audible to humans. But Sarin's knees nearly buckled at the sound. He whispered, I can hear the electricity in the wires. Every vibration. He looked terrified. Not because of the building, but himself. The heat wave hits. By the time they reached the central hall, the solar shields were activating thick, metallic plates, sliding over the windows with heavy clicks. Sarin flinched at each one. Lyra turned to him. Is there anything I can do? No, he said quickly. You should keep distance. When the heat wave affects a Heliox, our survival instincts activate. We become heightened. Heightened? Stronger. Faster. More sensitive to everything. It is not dangerous if controlled. But I've never experienced one fully. His voice grew strained. And I don't want to lose control. Before Lyra could answer, footsteps echoed behind them. Tarek, Sarin's father, hurried toward them with Alara right behind him. Both looked deeply worried. Sarin. Tarek reached for him, but the moment his hand touched Sarin's arm, the boy jerked back violently, breathing hard. Father, don't, please. Tarek froze. That alone told Lyra how serious this was. Heliox youths almost never pulled away from parental guidance. Alara touched Lyra's arm. Take a step back. His senses are in overload. Sarin dropped to one knee, clutching the floor like it was the only thing anchoring him. He squeezed his eyes shut, whispering numbers under his breath in Heliox. Tarek knelt a safe distance away. It's the radiation, he said. His body is entering a defensive state. We must help him regulate before it escalates. How? Lyra asked. Calm environment, stable temperature, minimal sound, Tarek replied. And someone he trusts must guide him through the sensory flood. Sarin's eyes flicked toward Lyra briefly, but enough for Tarek to notice. He trusts you, Tarek said firmly. You must help anchor him. Lyra's heart jumped. Me? Why? Because your voice is steady for him, and you treat him gently. Sarin's breathing grew more ragged. Lyra stepped forward slowly and knelt beside him, keeping enough distance so she didn't overwhelm him. Sarin, she said quietly. His eyes snapped to hers, glowing brighter than before. Yes, he managed. Good. Focus on me, okay? Just breathe with me. Lyra inhaled slowly. Sarin tried to copy her, but his hands shook. Again, she said. He followed, this time more evenly. The lights hummed again, and Sarin flinched, but less violently than before. Lyra continued speaking softly. You're not alone. You're safe here. Slowly, the tension in his shoulders faded, his breathing steadied, his pupils widened from slits back to round shapes. Alara whispered. It's working. But Sarin suddenly stiffened. No. Something else. Something changed. He looked toward the ceiling, eyes wide as if he could see through the metal. Then he whispered something that sent chills down Lyra's spine. It's not just radiation. There is movement in orbit, something interfering with the defense grid. The failed scan. Tarek tapped his wrist device, sending a command to the embassy's satellite link. The screen flashed red. Signal interrupted, he muttered. Someone is blocking orbital scans. Ilara's brow tightened. But who? And why? During a solar event. Sarin's breathing picked up again. But this time, not from fear. Something like instinctual alertness. There are shapes, he whispered. I can't see them clearly, but I feel them. The radiation amplifies my senses. Something is approaching Earth. Lyra felt a cold weight settle in her stomach. Like ships? She asked. Sarin nodded faintly. Yes. And they don't match Heliox signatures. Tarek stood sharply. We need to reach the command center. Lyra. Stay with Sarin. Keep him steady. Lyra nodded. Tarek and Alara rushed out of the hall, leaving her with Sarin. Sarin held his head again, but this time his voice was urgent. They're using the solar flare to hide. They know human sensors are weak under radiation storms. How can you sense them? My neural pathways respond to cosmic events. Heliox evolved near unstable stars. Our bodies detect patterns. Machines can't. His eyes brightened even more, almost glowing. Humans need to know. They're in danger. Lyra swallowed. Okay. We'll tell them. But first you need to stay stable. If you overload. I know, he said, cutting her off weakly. I'm trying. He pressed his hands against the floor, grounding himself. Lyra spoke calmly beside him, helping him stay centered. After several minutes, Sarin's breathing steadied again. But sweat still dripped down his temple, and his eyes kept flickering with silver-blue light. You're doing good, Lyra said. Just keep holding on. Sarin looked up at her, his voice barely a whisper. Thank you, Lyra. Then the building shook. Just once, but enough to rattle the walls. A distant alarm began to blare. Lyra's heart jolted. What was that? Lyra's. What was that? Sarin's eyes widened. They're here. The hidden threat revealed. Seconds later, the emergency channel turned on. Attention all stations. Unidentified craft. Detected in upper atmosphere. Defense shields malfunctioning. Prepare for lockdown. Lyra felt adrenaline shoot through her. Sarin tried to stand, but his legs trembled violently. She caught him just before he fell. Easy, she said. You're not stable yet. I have to help. Sarin insisted, gripping her arm. I can sense their location. Humans can't fight if they don't know where the enemy is. Lyra looked into his glowing eyes filled with fear, but also determination. You'll help, she said quietly. But we'll do it together. He nodded slowly. Outside, another vibration shook the tower. The heatwave had arrived. The infiltrators had arrived too. And Sarin's innocence? It was already fading into something far more powerful. The embassy tower shuddered again as another distant impact rippled through the walls. Lights flickered, alarms echoed, and the air filled with the low hum of power struggling against interference. Lyra kept one arm around Sarin, steadying him as he breathed through another wave of overwhelming senses. The heat wave outside was still rising, and Earth's solar shields were barely holding. We need to get to the command floor, Lyra said. You said you could sense the ships. Humans need that information. Sarin took slow breaths, fighting the tremors in his hands. Yes, but I must stay close to you. Your voice helps regulate my senses. Without that, I might overload again. Lyra nodded. Then stay close. I won't let anything happen to you. He managed a small, shaky smile. They moved carefully down the hallway. Each flicker of light made Sarin flinch, but every time he stumbled, he forced himself to stand straighter. His pupils flickered silver and blue, rapidly processing data far too intense for any human brain. As they approached the lift, the doors suddenly sparked and slammed shut with a loud metallic clank. Power failure, Lyra muttered. Sarin pressed his palm near the control panel. I hear movement inside the wiring. Something is interfering with the system's frequencies. Lyra blinked. You can hear wiring? He swallowed hard. Right now, yes. The heat wave enhances all senses. It's painful, but useful. They hurried down the emergency stairs instead. The command floor. When they reached the command level, chaos filled the air. Officers rushed between stations. Screens flickered with scrambled data. And Tarek stood in the center, issuing orders in both English and Heliox. Elara spotted Lyra and ran over. Thank goodness. We lost the lift signals. Are you two all right? Sarin sensed the ships again, Lyra said. He says they're near the upper atmosphere. Sarin stepped forward, gripping the railing to keep himself steady. There are 3 vessels. Their energy patterns are fragmented stealth type. They are using the solar flare to hide. Tarek's head snapped toward his son. 3? Are you certain? Sarin nodded. Yes. And they are scanning for weaknesses in the Earth shield grid. Their purpose is infiltration. Not invasion? One of the human officers asked. Sarin shook his head weakly. No. They are small, silent, precise. These are infiltration crafts. Someone wants to enter Earth quietly. Lyra's stomach tightened. Why during a heat wave? Tarek answered grimly. Because every major planet is vulnerable during cosmic storms. Shields weaken. Sensors fail. Perfect time for a hidden enemy. Who are they? Sarin closed his eyes for a moment, listening to patterns only he could hear. When he opened them again, they glowed brighter than ever. Zorith infiltrators. A quiet dread rippled across the floor. The Zorith were known across the galaxy for covert operations, masters of stealth tech and sabotage. They rarely attacked openly. They disabled targets from the inside. Tarek stepped closer to Sarin. But how did you detect them? Our systems saw nothing. Sarin lowered his gaze. Because I am not just a diplomat's son. Everyone fell silent. Sarin looked up again, eyes steady despite the trembling in his hands. I was part of the Heliox Vanguard training program, the last generation. Before our station. His voice cracked. Before the radiation event destroyed it. Lyra felt a cold shock travel down her spine. You were trained for cosmic events? She asked softly. Sarin nodded. Yes. Our senses were enhanced to detect energy signatures during solar storms. But when the accident happened, I survived only because my father shielded me. I was unstable afterward. Too sensitive, too reactive. We tried to hide it because I feared losing control. He exhaled shakily. But now Earth needs those abilities. Tarek placed a hand toward Sarin, but stopped before touching him, careful not to trigger another sensory overload. My son, you should not carry this alone. Sarin shook his head. It doesn't matter. The Zorith are inside the atmosphere. They're preparing to breach Earth's defense grid, likely through the embassy network. Elara took a sharp breath. Our network? You mean this building? Yes, Sarin said. They always strike where governments gather. They want control of the shield core. Lyra felt her pulse spike. Then we need to stop them. Signal collapse. Suddenly, the main screen flashed red. Communications down. Orbital. Defense. Silo. Offline. The officers scrambled. Tarek grabbed a headset. Try rerouting the signals. Use the Heliox auxiliary relays. It's no use, an officer shouted. Something is jamming frequency channels. Elara stared at Sarin. Is it them? Sarin nodded. They're cutting off communication. They don't want Earth to call for help. Lyra stepped to his side. Can you tell where they are exactly? Sarin clenched his jaw. Yes, but the signals are too loud. The radiation is pushing my senses too far. He shut his eyes tightly, pain flickering across his face. Lyra knelt beside him. Sarin, listen to me. You helped earlier because you focused on just one thing, my voice. Do it again. Sarin breathed shakily. It's hard. Try, she said, keeping her voice calm. Focus only on what I'm saying. Nothing else. Slowly, his shoulders dropped from rigid to tense. Better, he whispered. You help quiet the noise. Lyra held his arm gently, not enough to overwhelm, just enough for him to feel grounded. Tell us what you hear, she said. Sarin took a deep breath. When he opened his eyes, they glowed bright silver. There are 3 Zorith pods, he said. One above the northern shield node, one near the eastern communication tower, and the last one. He paused, trembling. Is heading directly toward the embassy. Everyone looked at the nearest screen in alarm. A small blip appeared barely visible under the storm interference. Tarek's voice was low and serious. Then they plan to breach our systems first. Sarin nodded, breathing hard. They want the shield core codes. If they obtain them, Earth will be defenseless during the flare. Number. Lyra felt adrenaline rush through her. We need a team to intercept the pod, Tarek replied. A team won't be enough. The Zorith are trained infiltrators. We need someone who can detect their movements in real time. His eyes turned to Sarin. Sarin's face paled. Me? Tarek nodded. Your senses can track them, even through interference. You are the only one who can guide a strike team. Sarin stepped back, overwhelmed. But I can barely stand. If my senses overload during contact, Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder. Then, I'll help you. Just like before. You won't be alone. He looked at her, eyes full of fear and gratitude. You would risk that? Yes, she said simply. Because Earth needs you, and because you're part of this family now. Sarin swallowed hard. Okay. I will try. I. Preparing for the strike. Tarek activated the tactical map. The pod is approaching from the west. Estimated arrival. 2 minutes. We must intercept it at the exterior balcony access point. Officers geared up quickly. Lyra grabbed a lightweight human exovest. Sarin received a Heliox sensory stabilizer, a thin metallic collar. It will help regulate overload, Tarek explained, but only a little. Sarin nodded and placed it around his neck. Lights glowed, faintly. The building shook again, harder this time. They're close, Sarin whispered. Lyra steadied him. We've got this. Together, they ran toward the balcony access corridor, the air shaking with the force of the event. Officers followed with weapons ready. As they reached the reinforced doors, Sarin froze. What is it? Lyra asked. Sarin pointed upward. They're already here. A shadow passed over the skylight, silent, sharp, and alien. Alarms blared. Breach imminent. Sarin's eyes glowed like molten silver. They're coming inside. Earth was moments from being infiltrated. And Sarin delicate, innocent Sarin now stood as humanity's only real warning system. The embassy balcony doors shook as a thin crack of light sliced between the metal frames. Dust drifted down from the ceiling. Everyone on the tactical team lifted their weapons, while Lyra stepped in front of Sarin protectively. Sarin's eyes glowed brighter than ever silver, then pale blue, then silver again. He stared at the door, as if he could see through it. They're cutting through, he whispered. 3 of them. Moving fast. But their rhythm is wrong. They're not soldiers. They're infiltration technicians. What's the difference? One officer asked. Technicians don't fight with strength, Sarin said. They fight with stealth. They disable systems quietly so the main force can follow. Lyra tightened her grip on her exovest. So this is only the first wave. Sarin nodded. Yes. If they enter the core chamber, Earth's shields will collapse. We have minutes. The metal doors hissed as a glowing line traveled across them, a cutting laser from outside. Positions! Tarek shouted. The team spread out along the walls. Lyra stayed close to Sarin, who leaned on the railing, breathing slowly through the sharpening pain of the heat wave. The laser burned through the final layer. The doors fell inward with a crash. 3 Zorith infiltrators slipped inside. They didn't walk. They glided, their bodies wrapped in reflective armor that bent light around them. Their faces were masked with smooth, dark visors. They carried no guns, only narrow devices glowing with blue pulses, disruptors designed to shut down tech systems from the inside. Lyra's heart pounded. This was no simple enemy. This was a precision strike. The first strike. The first Zorith dashed forward in a blur. Left side, Sarin yelled, pointing without hesitation. Lyra spun, shouting the command. 2 human officers fired stun rounds toward the left wall. Even though the infiltrator ducked, the shots forced it to adjust its path, creating the opening needed. The second infiltrator aimed a disruptor rod at the ceiling panels. They're targeting the shield conduits, Lyra shouted. Sarin pressed one ear, wincing. They're matching their frequency to the solar flare. If they hit the conduit, It will cascade through the entire building. Not today, Lyra muttered. She charged forward, grabbing a dropped shield tile from the floor and swinging it like a barrier. The disruptor beam slammed into the tile harmlessly, sparks scattering against its reinforced surface. The Zorith's head tilted, almost curious. Lyra shoved the shield tile forward, knocking the alien back. Sarin gasped behind her. Another one behind. She turned. A third infiltrator was leaping silently toward them, blade-like tool extended. Before Lyra could react, Tarek intercepted it, slamming the alien back with a surge of Heliox strength. His arm glowed faintly. Heliox battle implants, activating under stress. "Stay focused," Tarek shouted. "Protect the core." Sarin pressed his hand against the wall, breathing heavily. "They're communicating with an external ship," he whispered. Silent pulses, hidden under the heatwave. They want to open a direct port to the shield grid. "How do we stop it?" Lyra asked. Sarin hesitated only a moment. "We must block their frequency manually." "How?" she asked. He looked at her, fear and determination mixing in his eyes. "With my senses." The sensory link. Sarin stepped forward, though his legs trembled violently. "If I connect through the wall's conduit node, I can jam their signal, but I will feel everything. Every wave, every vibration." "That could overload you," Tarek warned. Sarin looked to Lyra. "I trust her. She keeps the noise down. She can ground me again." Lyra moved to his side without hesitation. "I'll be right here, whatever happens." He nodded once, grateful. He placed both hands on the glowing wall panel. His eyes widened instantly, silver exploding into bright, star-like light. Sarin cried out softly but forced himself to stay upright. The air around him thickened, vibrating with unseen pulses. Lyra held his arm, speaking calmly. "Breathe. Stay with me. Don't let the noise take over." He clenched his teeth and focused on her voice. Behind them, the battle continued. Officers struggling to keep the infiltrators away from the core hatch. 2 Zoriths attempted to flank. "They're moving right," Sarin gasped out, eyes unfocused as he sensed patterns no one else could. Lyra relayed the call instantly. "Right flank! Now!" The tactical team moved as one, intercepting the attack. The entire embassy shook again as another flare hit the planet's shields. Sarin groaned. "The pulse. It's too strong." Lyra pressed her forehead lightly to his shoulder. "You're doing great. Stay with me. You're not alone." He steadied. And then he found it. "Their signal," Sarin shouted. "I have it." Light burst from the conduit panel, rushing through the cables like a lightning wave. Sarin screamed. Lyra held him tighter, refusing to let him fall. "Don't break connection. You've got this." Sarin tightened his grip on the panel, eyes burning bright. "I can flip it." The light suddenly snapped like a string breaking. Then everything went quiet. Terribly quiet. The turn of the battle. The Zorith infiltrators froze in place, their visor lights flickering. One of them tried to activate their disruptor rod, but the device sparked uselessly. Another tried to send a signal, but their wrist tech went dark. Sarin collapsed to his knees, panting, his senses finally calming as the overload faded. "Their frequency link is gone," he whispered. "They can't communicate with their ship. They've lost coordination." Lyra pulled him into a steadying hold. "You did it." He looked at her with exhausted eyes. "No. You did. I only followed your voice." She gave him a small, warm smile. Around them, the tactical team quickly subdued the infiltrators, now that their tech was disabled. Tarek disarmed the last one with a swift movement, pushing it to the floor. Ilara rushed in from the hall. "The shield grid stabilized. The external ships are retreating." The first. Cheers filled the command floor. Earth was safe. For now. The aftermath. Later, after the infiltrators were secured and the embassy returned to emergency stability, Lyra sat beside Sarin in the medical wing. He lay on a low helio bed, glowing softly as the stabilizer worked through his system. "How do you feel?" Lyra asked. Sarin blinked slowly. "Like I ran through a storm, barefoot." He gave a weak laugh. "But alive. Dringzy. Marken. Marken. You saved Earth," she reminded him. He shook his head gently. "No. Humans saved Earth. I only helped. Lyra, you were the real anchor." She felt her face warm. "I only talked. You're the one who connected to a solar flare on purpose. It was easier because of you," he said simply. "Heliox senses can process energy, but human hearts can steady fear." Lyra was silent for a moment. Then she said, "We make a good team." Sarin smiled, small, shy, but genuine. "Yes." He agreed. "We do." New respect. When Tarek arrived, he placed a proud hand on his son's shoulder. "The Vanguard would honor you today, and Earth owes you a debt." Sarin shook his head. "I only want to learn control." Lyra leaned toward him. "You do belong. With us. With humanity." Sarin's eyes softened. Tarek looked at Lyra. "Humanity has always been underestimated. But in moments like today, the galaxy understands why HFY stories spread." Ilara nodded. "Because humans don't stand back. They stand together." "Ilara, not." Lyra squeezed Sarin's hand gently. "And now you're part of that too." Outside the window, the solar heatwave began to fade. Blue sky returned slowly as the shields regained strength. Earth had survived. Because of courage. Because of trust. Because an innocent-looking alien boy refused to break, and a human girl never let him fall. Together, they had proven the truth that echoed through space. Humanity always stands tall.